Hello, everyone. It's Sunday once again. It's the last day of the year. New Year's Eve, and I can't believe it's the year's nearly over. Um, it's like, oh my god, it's the final episode of Ask the Drummer for 2023, and it's just gone 2 p.m. in the UK, 10 o'clock in Manila, and I'm sure it's already 2024 in other parts of the world. So happy New Year to those who are already, celebrating the first day of 2024. In Manila, it's 10 o'clock p.m. And I know that my friends in Manila are actually sort of like preparing to get their fireworks so like let off. That's one of the things that I like about celebrating New Year's Eve in the Philippines, like all the fireworks. But please make sure to be careful, my dear friends, and don't get hurt. And you wouldn't want to sort of like spend the first day of 2024 in the hospital. So please do be careful. But anyway, so welcome to another episode of Ask the Drummer, our final one for 2023. But before I bring in my guest, I just want to dedicate this episode to Dr. C.P. Lee, who sadly is no longer with us. But I know that if he's still around, he'd be really pleased because he's very supportive of everything I do, and he knows how much I love music and how much I love drummers and how much I love Manchester music in general. So this one is for you, Dr. C.P. Lee. But from one Manc legend to another, my dear friends, please welcome my final guest of 2023, Brian Mad Muffet Grantham.
Hello. I'm clapping myself. Hello, everybody.
How are you, Brian?
I'm not too bad. It's been a busy kind of time with family over with the festive season, but touch wood, health-wise, I'm okay, and I'm looking forward to the new year. And yourself?
Yes, I'm fine, thanks. Yeah, I can't believe
Very
it.
good.
2023 is gone. It seems like it's just gone so quickly. Yeah, but anyways, I dedicated this episode to Dr. C.P. Lee because it was actually him who introduced me to you. It was in 2019 at the Spinning Top.
I
don't know if
do remember. I do remember.
yeah,
I
you're
actually
very
have some
good
photos.
Yeah, you're very
Yeah,
good friends.
I actually have some photos of him from that evening, and some with you as well. So sad he's not with us anymore. Such a great writer, great musician. So fantastic that you are dedicating this to CP.
Yeah, I remember that evening because he knows how much I love drummers, and I'm a bit shy, so I'm like asking people. And I know that you and Slaughter the Dogs, you're like legends. They're like
Oh right, yeah.
no. So I was so
It
like I
was with
really want
the.
to know.
I
Yeah,
think
go on.
it was with the drones though that night, wasn't it? It
That's
was
right. Yeah,
the
yeah, it was.
band, yeah. And
Yeah,
CP, which was I think CP was on that night. He
that's right.
was.
And a band called Four Past Midnight. I think they're from Scotland or something. Yeah, yeah,
They did travel quite a way. I did have a chat with them outside,
yeah.
quite a way. Yeah. And CP, Alberto Wailos Trios Paradias. That was his.
That's right.
Shall we
Yeah.
say? Yeah, that was his band. Wasn't it?
Yeah. But anyways, I want to welcome you to Ask the Drummer. Episode
Right. I'm honoured.
well, episode 107 is all about you, Brian Grantham. First of all, I wanted to ask you, Mark Muffet, where did that come from?
Um, it was kind of. I mean, obviously, people say, I'm always getting this question. It always comes up. People, say the same thing. It kind of came from back in the day, the Muppet Show. So Animal, the drummer.
Oh my
Um,
God!
yeah, I mean, yeah. So I was kind of a little bit animated when I was younger on the drum kit.
Yeah.
So Slaughter were very quite energetic band. And I was, and then one day, I think it was either one of the roadies. I think it was a chap. I think his nickname was Taffy. I'm not too sure. And he said, "Oh, it's Animal. It's the Muffet off the Muppet Show, the Muffet." So that's how it kind of came about. At least that's when I don't really look into it. I don't do any research on the Muff. But yeah.
I love Animal because every time, I don't know if you noticed it, but on Facebook, every time someone saw like comments about drummers and things, I like posting Animal so in there
Right.
because he's
Yeah.
such an amazing character, and I didn't realize, I didn't click that
Well,
that's actually where it came from.
not only that, in puppeteer terms, he's a great drummer. I've got to say 100% to the puppeteer who's working him. Oh, yeah, great. So
Oh wow!
I was animated as a drummer. I mean, I still kind of play from the heart and really go for the accents. And you've got to put a bit of a show on, I think, when you're doing, if you're playing rock and roll, especially, and if it's, you've got to express the song, express the accents. And so I still do a little bit of that now, but I'm getting a little bit old for kind of doing. So I do sit back on the fours when I'm playing rock and roll a little bit now.
We've we've established that Mad Muffet was from Animal, which is
I think it
so
was that.
yeah. But anyway, so I've found out that you're actually born in Blackpool. I mean, you are considered a Manc legend, but you're born in Blackpool. Is that right?
Yeah, by birth, I'm a Black Puddleian, as they say. I was born in Blackpool, yeah. Yeah,
It's it's crazy because John Robb, who I also consider as a Manc
Oh,
legend,
John, yeah, 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 yeah.
he was born in Blackpool as well.
Oh, is he a Black Puddleian? I didn't know that.
I'm sort of like thinking, is Blackpool like an extension of Manchester?
Yeah, that's great.
Anyway, so you're born in Blackpool, but then you were moved to Canada, so
We
like
did.
long.
Yeah,
So
that
can you tell us more about that, please?
that was around '67. We went over to Vancouver.
And how long did you stay in Vancouver?
We came back early 1971, just beginning of '71. Um, but I started some of the drum kind of ideas for me, started kind of pots and pans over there before I got over here. So, yeah, on a kind of drum moving thing. Well, we came back, yeah, 1971.
And are you from a musical family?
Um, my dad was an Al Jolson kind of like impressionist, shall we say. He didn't kind of do loads of gigs, but he would just break out into tune, Jolson tune, if you want, if you like. And he was really good. That was his hero. And so, but on my mother's side, no. And my sister, she used to do the cabaret circuit singing. Julie Lynn, she was known as at the time.
Oh wow!
So yeah. But no, I
Well,
mean that's about it musically. That's about it. Really.
yeah, from what I've read, you actually got into drumming when you were in Canada,
Yeah, yeah,
and
that's right.
did you
Listening to
form a
Led
band?
Zeppelin.
Did you
Um,
form a
my friend, Robert Kaufman, he was a neighbour. We used to just kind of jam around. He was on the bass guitar he had, and I just had a snare drum and a bass drum, and we'd kind of just knock around, kind of thing, dreaming, listening to Zeppelin 2. Led Zeppelin 2. We had that, so we listened to that.
and,
Um,
yeah.
but it wasn't a band as such. It was just where you kind of start, and it was the kind of same thing. What happened when I came back to the UK with other friends? We'd just get together and kind of jam around on a Bon Tempe organ and an old drum kit before Slaughtering the Dogs.
Yeah, and but have you always been drawn to the drums, or did you try other musical instruments as well?
I've always picked the guitar up. I mean, I've played guitar for quite a long time now, and I've played piano for quite a few years as well. But my main instrument is they're hitting the drums or playing the drums, shall we say? Yeah.
Yeah. Playing like animals.
Yeah, well, not all the time because I mean, I like different types of yeah, drumming. I mean, different drummers. Anything from Brand X to the Pistols, if you want, really.
Yeah.
You know.
And did you have proper drumming lessons, or were you self-taught?
Did I?
Drumming lessons? Did you have drumming
No,
lessons?
no, 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 no. I've never kind of. I've disciplined myself at times. Sat down there doing time signatures and practice and that. But I've never took any. I never took any drum lessons. No,
Oh, right.
no.
Um, well, so what year did you move back to the UK? And did you go to like to Blackpool, or were you in Manchester?
No, we came back. We came back and we went to live in Wythenshawe. That's how it kind of came about, to meeting up with the rest of the members of Slaughter and the Dogs. We didn't go back to Blackpool. Um,
Right,
and it
yeah.
was around that, towards the end, beginning of 71, towards the end of 1970, 71. I'm not too sure on the specific dates when we came back.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So, but do
yeah.
you hold like a dual citizenship, like Canadian British, or just British citizenship?
I was born in Blackpool. I'm a British citizen. Yeah, I'm here.
And- yeah.
As I say, we went 67 and came back. So we emigrated. So I actually have at the moment my daughter's boyfriend. He's from Miramichi, New Brunswick. And he's staying with us at the moment. 'Cause my daughter's back from Canada. She was over there.
All
So
right.
yeah, there's the Canadian connection again.
Oh, wow. So, so that is why. So when you came back from Canada and you moved to Wythenshawe, so
Yeah.
that's how you became sort of like a Manc legend, because Slaughter and the Dogs are from Wythenshawe. And but what I
Uh,
wanted to ask is, what was it like at the time?
do you mean with the band, starting with the
What
band, or just generally
what
in
was
Wythenshawe?
what was Wythenshawe like when when you were, well, not really growing up, because you were already like, how old were you when you moved to
For
Wythenshawe?
me, Wythenshawe wasn't that bad. I mean, it was all the hedges were kind of tidy, all the privet hedges, the roads were tidy. I mean, at the time, it was the biggest council estate in Europe, and it was absolutely fine. Um, Everyone kind of got on and what have you. I think it's still the same now. And like I say, that's where I met Mick Rossi, and Howard Bates.
Yeah. Well, music-wise, what was Manchester like at the time before sort of like punk? Because what I'm saying is, if you're not from Manchester, like me,
The,
I'm originally from the Philippines, we think of Manchester as like the Smiths, New Order. But,
who does? Do they? I didn't know that. No, it was. I mean, at the time, we go and watch Alex Harvey. You had 10cc, Alex Harvey playing the Free Trade Hall, Thin Lizzy. Before any of the before punk took off, or the independent kind of bands kind of kicked in, everyone would kind of meet up and go down to the Free Trade Hall. You'd have bands, Leonard Skinner coming over from America, Joe Walsh. It was quite rocky, as far as I know, because they were the bands that we used to go and watch.
yeah,
And the Manchester scene then kind of started. New Order were late for me. I mean, obviously, because they came out of Joy Division.
yeah,
But yeah, Joy Division. Then obviously, who their manager was Rob Gretton, who was our fan club secretary. Was a guy called Rob Gretton, he's the chap. Rob
yeah,
used to run,
yeah,
and he put the money up for our first single, "Cranked Up Really High," for us.
yeah. Well, now that we've got the internet and we can actually Google where it was, I'm sort of like thinking that at the time in Manchester there was a sad cafe, which is like Paul Young apparently was from Wythenshawe as well. Is that right?
Winning Shaw's famous. I mean, when you think about it, how many? I mean, you know, from comedy to actors, everyone's come out of Wythenshawe. You know, I could really, really name drop here and name lots and lots of people, but I'm not going to do that. Harry H. Corbett out of Steptoe and Son, that's the only one I'm going to mention. He was famous, he came from Wythenshawe. And I'll put Bernard Kelly from Jilted John, he's from Wythenshawe, and that's it. But there's a lot more came from Wythenshawe. I won't do any more
Yeah.
name dropping. But
Well,
quite famous.
I know,
Yeah.
because I had Donald Johnson from A Certain Ratio. Now he's also
Donald
from the show.
is one of my favourites again. A Certain Ratio, Donald Johnson, and Derek, his brother, fantastic. Great
Yeah.
musicians. Again, your name dropping now, Johnny Marr. We could go on forever.
Yeah.
We could go on forever from Wythenshawe, who's come out of there.
Okay, well, right, well, we'll
Caroline,
talk about,
you know.
yeah, well,
So,
we'll talk about which is, I believe, is your first proper band, which is Slaughter and the Dogs.
yeah, that's my first kind of professional band. Obviously, we got a break. But we did work hard. We kind of started out doing covers, Slaughter, and then we kind of fell onto the bandwagon with the punk independent. It was the only way to get your records out in them days and to kind of play to an audience, because it was a movement, as we all know. The punk scene was a movement. But
Yeah.
we always had that kind of glam element anyway, though. We were, you know, David Bowie, bit of the Stones in there, even when we kind of was on the kind of punk
Yeah.
level as well. And it's still like that, I think, with Slaughter. We've still got that rocky glam feel kind of to us. I mean, Mick's a great guitar player. He's still got that rock and roll driving kind of guitar work that he does. So that's kind of really, really sets us where we are.
Yeah. And the name, Slaughter and the Dogs, I just found out about it when I was like researching about you. It's
Mm.
amazing. It's Slaughter on 10th Avenue and
Yeah,
Diamond Dogs.
well, it came from Bowie and Ronson. They kind of gave us the name. Nobody else kind of put the name together. They did it. You know, it's thanks David Bowie and thank you Mick Ronson. That's where the name came from.
Yeah, so it's very much sort of like glam, isn't it? Glam rock. 'Cause I suppose there was no punk. Punk wasn't even sort of like invented or what do sort of like the term punk wasn't sort of like already in the scene when you had Slaughter and the Dogs. It's very much like glam, isn't it? Glam rock.
I mean, this question, and it comes up all the time. I mean, I think punk was happening with the Ramones. The Ramones were still kind of rolling over punky rock and roll, shall we say. I mean, punk kind of just adds to, like I say, punk rock and roll or rock and roll punk, or, you know, oh, it's pretty punky. I think if you had a leather jacket and your hair was greased back, then you were punky. And you
Oh,
could have been dancing. Exactly. You could have been dancing with Olivia Newton-John, you know, John Travolta. He was punky. Marlon Brando was punky, and, you know, in some of his early movies. It's defining it. It's just getting that. And I think at the time, the movement, it was punk rock. You know, everyone was on strike. You know, there was not a lot going on. The industry was. You just had that chance to kind of independent to make your own records. You know, people were taking notes, and people were serious about playing to 20 people. And they still are today. So that makes it a bit punky as well. There's a lot of elements, you know, put them all together and maybe it's punk.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't know about this. I only found out that you actually supported Sex Pistols on their most famous sort like gig in
We
Manchester,
did.
which is the Leicester Free Trade Hall. And the way you
We
actually
did.
supported them, the story behind that is actually fascinating. Can you tell us about it, please?
Um, we actually we kind of went on and did our set, and the Pistols followed us. The Buzzcocks were on the same bill as well, on that gig. But we were still a little bit glammy. We were still kind of, rock and rolling, and so I think we even did Suffragette City that night. To be honest with you, the Buzzcocks and the Pistols were a little bit more on the edge with the punk thing. Well, in fact, the Pistols were a lot. The night when we did it, but I actually saw them on the first gig. I went down onto the first gig and saw them, and I couldn't understand it. It just kind of wasn't coming across, because no one had heard it. It was like two chords just all the way through, and then you had the phrasings going down. There was good chops on the drum beat. And the bass driving, and you just trying to work it out, and obviously it was very successful for them, and brilliant. Yeah. But we had a great night on that gig. Yeah, that kind of set us a little bit on the map there, put us a little bit on the map, and it was fun. We had a good night. It was good.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing that I didn't realize is it's actually not just one gig, but Sex Pistols did. The first gig at the Leicester Free Trade Hall before the famous one, which is second.
The first gig.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. The first gig the Pistols did was the one I went to, which I just kind of strolled in. Me and Mick Rossi. We were in town that night. On our way back, and that was the gig. It was just great, it didn't last very long, and it was then Mick who did some negotiating with I think it was Malcolm McLaren and Steve Jones. Mick at the time was the only one who had a phone. His mum and dad. Wait, I don't want to mention his name actually on this, but somebody else had a phone, but they couldn't use it. But that was the first gig. So we negotiated to do a second gig with the Buzzcocks and Sex Pistols, and that was the one. I swear I was there. I do believe.
Yeah,
there's a few publications out on that. Which is, So I was at both of them. I played on one of them, and I went to the first one to see them.
Because that second one was actually where everybody was sort of like saying I was there, but apparently there were only 40 people in that room. But so many.
Well, there's about there's about 100 bands come out of that. There's about 100 bands come out of that because they were all there. Well, I don't recall. How can I say on the second one? It's very difficult. I mean, obviously, because people didn't know one another at the gig, so you can't really say on the second gig. But I know I was at the second gig because I was playing the drums. On the first gig, I don't recall. I didn't know anybody. We didn't know anybody to recognise, so we wouldn't know. But there wasn't a lot of people at the first gig, and the second gig, I think, like I said, probably about 40 people, if that.
Yeah.
50p a ticket, I think. I still have a few tickets for that, actually. I still have a few tickets for that, yeah. I've always kept hold of bits and pieces from back in the day. I'm no good at throwing things away.
Well, my tech support said that there is still the echo, but Brian's sound is perfect. I'm really sorry about the echo coming from me, but hopefully it's not.
Oh, that's okay. Is it still quite bad there?
I think it's all right as long as I let you do most of the talking. But so that gig, with everyone sort of like saying like Big Hucknall was there apparently. Like where Joy Division sort of like started or something? Or...
It's all their claims to fame, I think. I mean, everyone says they were at that gig. And there's so many successful. How can it be? There's so many successful bands and musicians from that gig. But I don't know really. It was
Definitely,
a great.
you were there for sure because you played on that stage.
On the second gig, we were playing on the second one. The first gig, it was just wide open. It was a small venue. It was at the side of the Lesser Free Trade Hall. It was actually part of the Lesser Free Trade Hall. It was called the Lesser Free Trade Hall of the Free Trade Hall. So we just strolled in and kind of watched the bands and who were on. Me and my friend. So yeah, that was the first gig. Yeah, but it was a good venue. It's a really good venue.
Andy Coy sort of like just asked, "Have you got your speakers too loud?" That's what I'm getting the echo, but maybe not. So, can can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you okay now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's still there's still a bit of echo. I don't know where it's coming from, but yeah, that's
I
hopefully
don't.
gone.
I mean, is
Yeah.
it coming from my end?
No, I think it's I don't know where it's coming from, but you're here. I can hear you perfectly, so that's okay. Um, as long as you can hear me as well. So
Is that any better?
hopefully it's yeah. There's still a bit, but anyways, yeah. So we'll continue. J.K. John Kidd. He wanted me to ask you, do you have any memories of Slaughter and the Dogs playing at the Electric Circus in Manchester and the Roxy in London back in the day?
Yeah, the Roxy being in London, we opened the Roxy album, first two tracks on the Roxy album. That was another very small venue, but great atmosphere and for the kind of movement at the time for bands to go and play, to put the message across. It was a really good venue. Everyone used to meet up down there. The Heartbreakers, Sex Pistols, Eater. It was fantastic, great venue. And the Electric Circus in Collyhurst, that was great as well. We played that quite a few times. I have some really, really good photos from there. Again, because I always kind of keep hold of whatever was around at the time, media-wise. We didn't have phones then, but yeah. So the Electric Circus, yeah. I mean, that was used to play host to a lot of bands. Chelsea. I actually saw Penetration there, and the Clash. I actually saw the Clash there as well. In fact, quite a few bands, but that's gone now as well. It's not there anymore.
Yeah, is that where B&Q is now? Electric Circus.
B&Q used to be the Hard Rock, so Led
Oh, right.
Zeppelin have been. Yeah, funnily enough, I drove past there yesterday, and it's gone, completely gone. They've completely demolished it. It's now you can kind of get a good view of the cricket ground now. It was called the Hard Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the
Yeah.
Roxy in London, that's where Don Letts did his like punk rock film, right? The Roxy, is that is that the right place?
The
There's a
Hard
film
Rock would
with
be
Don Letts. Yeah.
the Hard Rock being in Stratford, over
Oh
in
no,
Manchester.
the one in London, the Roxy in London.
The Roxy is W1, yeah. The Roxy is that's the London venue. There's also the Hope and Anchor, which is still going now. That was going back in the day around the time of the Roxy. The Red Cow, I'm not too sure. Don't know whether that's still going. There's quite a few venues that did kind of host the punk rock at the time. The Marquee as well. Obviously, that's gone. Because that kind of went very punky. The punk movement was in, so you had Gen X playing there, and the Damned and people like that. Yeah, so I'm trying to think any other. There's a great venue on Oxford Street called Rafters. Now that was a great basement gig. For punk bands at the time. Again, we played it. Generation X played it. The Drones. Buzzcocks, absolutely
Yeah,
fantastic venue.
that must be really exciting at that time. Well, one thing I would be like, no, I don't know what the timeline is like, but I wanted to ask about Morrissey's connection to
Morris's
slaughtering
Connection.
dogs.
I don't. I'm not. Um, I mean, at the time when I was in the band, the second time round, Wayne, the singer of the band, he'd gone. So Morrissey had came down and we kind of auditioned him. He came in and did a few vocal things over at TJ Davidson's on Little Peter Street.
Yeah,
Um, we did a few tunes, and that was it. After that, I kind of departed again. I kind of went. I left the band. So Slaughter's kind of had quite a few different lineups over the years. After the first breakup,
yeah.
after the
I mean,
yeah.
this is really exciting for us because, as you know, I mean, Morrissey is massive in the Philippines. This Smiths, especially, are massive. So Morrissey being part of Slaughter the Dogs, apparently he did 4 songs, and he was like the front man who auditioned for like a record deal.
Yeah, yeah. How can I say? He didn't do any gigs with Slaughter and the Dogs. He just came down and did some rehearsals. But yeah, he's an icon, isn't he?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I've not heard any of Morris's stuff. I don't. So I don't really, But obviously, he's a famous human.
Yeah, well, it's really fascinating because I don't know if it's true, but you're in this book, the TJM story.
Oh
I
right, yeah, yeah.
well,
Oh yeah, I'm Howard Grantham in that book. Yeah, there
well,
were some slight text issues. I don't think it was proofread. I don't know, but I've not actually. This is what I've been told. But I think TJ did have a bit of a reprint, obviously to kind of rectify the text problem.
yeah,
Howard apparently the bass player out of Slaughter and the Dogs is Brian Bates, and I'm Howard. So it's kind of
oh,
mixed up, if you know. Yeah, yeah. So it's Brian
well, I
Bates
got the reprint.
And Howard
I got the
Grantham.
reprint because this is you've already got Brian Grantham in this one, so this is the
So that
right.
must be the reprint. Yes. Thank you, TJ. I must get a copy.
Yeah. 'Cause, another thing that I find fascinating reading this book is like someone said that because Morrissey so like was uh, I think it was the record company who didn't like Morrissey, so he was, you know, he got so like not fired, but he wasn't right for Slaughter and the Dogs, and apparently that made him depressed, and then he started writing depressing songs.
Oh dear. I mean, well, I mean, I think if you're in the public limelight, I mean, obviously, um, it must make you more depressed. I'm really sorry if he, if he thought, but like I say, he came down and he did a few songs with us at TJ Davidson's on Little Peter Street,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it was quite boomy and quite loud because we were. But I think he was kind of finding his kind of his poetry is lyrically, himself finding that and his poetry and his quotes and what have you at the time. But yeah, because he also had some time in the nosebleeds, in Headbanger and the nosebleeds, didn't he?
yeah. That's
I
right.
do believe.
Yeah,
Again, I
any
didn't see them live. I don't know.
any fan of Manchester music, because I'm a big fan of Manchester music, should get a copy of this book, the DJM story, because it does sort of like tell us a lot about
Yeah, I mean, I'll get a copy of that now. I'll have a look at
Manchester.
it and see. Yeah.
John Kidd said that one of the forgotten venues in Manchester was the Oaks. I don't know if you remember the Oaks, but that was one of the venues in Manchester. And Monty Mendigoria says, "Happy New Year, guys." Monty's listening from the Philippines, Manila. It's now so like 3 o'clock, so I'm sure they're getting ready for the fireworks. Thanks for joining us live, Monty.
Yeah, it's going
Um,
to be it's a festive night, isn't it? I mean, everyone's New Year's Eve. Everyone's. Are you going out yourself?
oh no, no, I don't go out on New Year's Eve. I'm just like stay in. But, Aiden O'Rourke said very interesting conversations for old venues. He used to go to the ranch on Dale Street.
Oh, the ranch on Dale Street. Yeah, I used to go down there, and Fufu Lamar's was adjourning
Yeah.
to that. Yeah, we'd all kind of go down and chill down. We used to rush back from gigs. If we're doing a local gig, Slaughter, we'd all be in the van there. We go, let's head to the ranch, you know. So we'd all go down to the ranch, and yeah,
Oh,
fantastic.
wow.
They had like saddles. The stools in there were like, it was like a saddle.
What?
Of course, it was called the ranch. It was called the ranch, and yeah, we used to go down there, and we kind of uh, get a bit intoxicated, and you know, we were young, young at
Yeah.
heart. Yeah.
Yeah, well, DJM Records actually released this Slaughter and the Dogs EP. It's got 4 songs. I don't know if you can see it, that one. I mean, my copy is not the best one because I only found it from like at King B Records, you know, that I work at King B. But anyways, it was reissued, I think last year, and
Yeah, I
it's
think
on
yeah,
yellow
TJ did.
vinyl.
Yeah, it was over in I think Steve Meeking's over at Revolution X Records, Revolution Records in Bolton. I mean, he was stocking the new copy if anybody wants it. Yeah, I don't know that it was remixed or anything was done technically on it, but I do remember doing that because the band technically wasn't together at the time. Um,
Oh,
we just came to do that. We came together to do it for TJM Records. We wasn't actually working together or gigging. Mick
yeah,
and Howard, they were living in London at the time. I was living in Manchester. I don't know about the other lad where
yeah,
he
yeah.
was.
All right.
But so we just came together and we kind of just threw it together in the studio. Um, you know, with the vocalist putting his phrases down and Mick's guitar playing, you know, just kind of when me, Mick, and Howard just play like that, it just happens. It's great. It's good
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you were, this is also another interesting is you were signed with Decca Records. Because Decca is sort of like famous, isn't it? It's like massive. It's got the Beatles, I believe, and the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, our debut album was on Decca Records, and we had a guest player on it, as you may know, which was Mick Ronson. Mick came and thanks to
Yeah,
Mick Rossi, because Mick was a really good friend of Mick Ronson's, and he kind of agreed to play on the album for us. So he played on. He didn't play on any of the original written tracks. He played on New York Dolls track and a Casinus Cats track. Called Quick Joy Small.
yeah,
But I've got to say, prior to that, I mean, we've done the Bellevue album on Rabid Records because our kind of first label, independent label, was Rabid.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you know, Rabid. A snarling dog called Rabid, whatever. Yeah, so, and then we signed to a major label, which was Decca Records. But it wasn't our first vinyl and it wasn't our first label.
release. Yeah. And what was it like working with Mick Ronson? Because were you all like fans of Mick Ronson's work?
It all happened very, very quickly. We were all very excited. He kind of came back to the hotel because, like I say, Mick was very friends. Him and Susie,
Yeah.
his wife at the time, they came back, and it just came out of the blue that he agreed to play on the record.
Wow.
So he then came down, and just played on the, the record.
Yeah,
It was just surreal. Just unbelievable. I mean, to have someone of that kind of caliber, you know,
yeah,
of a guitar. I mean, he just finished, he just finished the Rolling Thunder tour as well with
yeah,
Dylan, not long. So it was just like mind blowing, and the professionalism and the everything about him. Beautiful
yeah.
soul, but he
Well,
flew out the
you
window.
mentioned,
It's so very sad.
yeah. Well, you mentioned Raven Records because this one here, which is like Manchester, north of England, Cherry Red, 7 CD compilation about Manchester bands, and
Oh yeah,
you,
Cherry Red.
yeah.
Right.
So this one is actually titled "Cranked Up Really High," which is your song, which is Slaughter and the Dog song. And this is really strange because you played in Slaughter and the Dog, and you're playing currently in the nosebleeds with Ed Banger in the nosebleeds, and also the drums. So you're all
Yeah.
like, the pioneers. And I'm just wondering,
Well,
Buzzcocks was number one, and you didn't play with Buzzcocks.
well, yeah. I mean, outside of that, I mean, I've always played blues and other genres. I mean, I don't. I was in a prog band for 3.5 years with a chap called Peter Nichols, who is still in the band IQ now, currently working and doing Germany and playing all over the world and what have you. So
Yeah,
that was a different genre altogether. It was prog rock. It's like 7/8. Each song was like 7 minutes long if you want. So, and then you kind of just jump on and do blues jams and stuff like that. And it's the same with a good friend of mine, Vaughan Harvey. I mean, he put a charity event together recently, and I played on that with him and some great musicians, John Scott from Jilted John, Anthony Holler on bass. So, and that isn't punk. I mean, that's kind of, we've got the fiddle player, we've got the keyboard player. And that was for a charity called Mind. So again, it's a different genre. It's a different altogether. I don't like to be pigeonholed, and I don't play with. If I can express in its music, then I'll play it.
yeah, yeah,
And recently, Edwina, a fantastic writer, brilliant writer, has just put in some tracks together for his piano record. So I've just played some drums on that again with Anthony Holler on bass, and a very old friend of mine, if I can say, David Gleave on guitar. Fantastic, who's actually got a photo exhibition coming up at Central Library. I think starts on the 12th of January. If that's okay to say that, Dave will probably.
yeah. Of course. I mean,
But yeah, so if you're in town, he's got an exhibition at Central Library on the 12th, I think, starting, which runs through till sometime in February, because he's a very, very talented photographer as well as a talented guitar player as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, that is brilliant. Well, I know that you have played in loads of different bands. I mean, I'm just gonna mention some of them because I tried googling them, but I couldn't really find anything about it. But the Eric Sarko band, Eric Sarko is actually mentioned in this book, TJM Records. I think he is part of the sort of like Manchester scene
Well,
at the time.
yeah, 'cause I used to rehearse there with Rick. Rick is the bass player in the Freshies, Rick Sarko.
See,
So that's
okay.
Eric's brother. Sadly, Eric's not with us anymore. I used to play drums with Rick and Eric. So it was called the Sarko Band, the Eric Sarko Band. So me
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah, it was Rick and Eric actually. But like I say, sadly, Eric's not with us anymore. And Rick joined the Freshies. He's the bass player in the Freshies now. And we used to have some great songs, and we used to do kind of gigs and have fun. And then
Yeah.
I'd run back and play a bit with Slaughter, and then so I kind of jam about with people and kind of do that thing. I mean, that's what you
Well,
do, I think, if you're a drummer.
yeah. Well, there are other bands like Mick Z and BG Band. Again, I couldn't find anything about that one.
Uh, they're kind of projects, and I've done in the studio, a lot of studio stuff. Mick Sikorsky, which is Mick Z, he's a great Great guitar player, great blues guitar player. I actually
Yeah.
saw him yesterday, funnily enough. And we've done kind of recordings over the years at studios such as Naira and different studios which were running
Yeah.
at the time in Manchester. It's just that kind of, it wasn't an independent hit kind of thing. So you don't always get the, yeah. But Mike King, he was Spider Mike King. Uh, so he's a great songwriter. I don't think Mick's doing much at the moment, Spider, but I was in the band with him, with John Scott from Jilted John, yeah,
Yeah.
for a while.
And there's Brazil.
I'm actually doing some work with Tony G at the moment. Yeah, I actually got a project going at the moment with Tony G from Brazil. He was in a band. It was a band that we kind of, they were younger than me. And we were just kind of around 86, 87. We would do the
Yeah.
Witchwood with different venues. The Boardwalk, we used to do a fair bit at the Boardwalk. We'd play the Boardwalk, which is a little piece of street just down from
Yeah.
TJ Davidson's. Yeah, so yeah.
Well, the one thing that I would really
It's been
like
very
to
busy,
ask,
Anna.
oh, I know, it looks like it. Well,
Well, I
our
think now.
coffee also wanted me to ask you about this. I don't know if I'm reading it right, but is it Niadam's ghost or Niadams? How do you pronounce it? Niadams?
Nidams,
Niadams
which is
ghost?
it's
Yeah,
Niadems. Nidams Ghost, which is
ghost.
I think we've got one here. The album, I think that's the album. So that'd be
Wow.
the record. That'll be the record. Nidams
Yeah,
Ghost. We kind of it's with a company called GEP Records. They're a German company, and they did a reissue with 4 extra songs on CD, which you can get that out from Amazon, or you can get it about. But that was around 86, 87. So I was with them for about 3 years. That's Peter Nichols on vocals, Dave Bennett on guitars, and
yeah.
Dave Tompkins on bass. I think
That's
he's
your
still
prog.
jazzing about.
That's your prog rock, so like side of you, because they are sort of like a prog rock and not punk, right?
That's the prog rock. That's the
Yeah.
prog side of things. Yeah. The punk rock side, I mean, I don't think the drones, I mean, some of the arrangements in there can be pretty complex, but at the same time, the drones are kind of quite energetic and quite loud. The Nosebleeds, I wouldn't even say a punk, and Nosebleeds are more rock and roll rock. I mean, Edwina just writes some fantastic tunes. I mean, the later Nosebleeds, it's kind of, we usually just work around Edwina's writing, really, when he brings the lyrics in, and we work around his phrases, and then but it's not punk. It's energetic, it's loud, it's powerful, but I wouldn't say it's punk. I'd say more it's rock and roll with a bit of dolls thrown in there, maybe.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Well, Niadam's Ghost, again, from what I've read, this is the inspiration for your work that was included in this exhibition. It's actually brilliant because like 19 drummers, 19 artist drummers were sort of like in one exhibition called Crash. They call it Crash Ride. No.
Yeah, that was. I think it was Nick Cash. Yeah, it was Nick Cash's idea from the members. I think it wasn't kind of. He wasn't kind of commissioned or asked. It was. If he was interested in doing that and submitting something, I think the concept is pretty much about drummers' expression within our artwork. I mean,
Yeah.
there's kind of work in there. Some of the work is, how can I say, string nailed onto wood. So if that's expressive, fantastic, great. I mean, and there's drum skins been painted. Mine was just a piece what I did. I was inspired by Strange Parade from the album, with the artwork, with Niadam's Ghost. So And Nick asked me, he mentioned it, and I just said I'd be interested in kind of submitting on that. And
Yeah, yeah.
fantastic. He went, okay, great. So I kind of went
What
for the
must have been?
reflective glance and framed it up.
Yeah, well, I remember. I remember it now. The exhibition is called Crash Rides Near, and it was held in London, like art center in London, and it must have been great to have 19 drummers in the room. And I
I
love
don't think,
that.
to be honest with you, I don't think 19 attended, but I know, I think from Van der Graaf Generator, I can't think of his name, he came over. There was quite a few people did travel. Unfortunately, my daughter was arriving from Canada. It was right pretty much on that date. And I couldn't get down down to the
Okay.
exhibition, so I didn't go. I explained that to the boss, shall we say,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
artistic creator being Nick Cash. So,
yeah.
but it's coming to Liverpool apparently, and it's going up to Scotland somewhere. So I will definitely go for the Pompano or whatever they're going to be
Yeah, yeah,
serving. I'll go for a
that
glass
would
of
be
that.
fantastic. I mean, if it goes to Liverpool, that would be really great. I'll definitely sort of keep an eye out for it and hope to
Yeah,
see sort of like
absolutely. Yeah.
the exhibition. But going back to music, so there are other more bands that you were in. There's actually quite a lot more. One is Alan Crosby, who sort of like just said it. Born Idol, which was sort of like, I think they were called White Trash before they were called Born Idol. And I've seen a couple of photos on the Manchester Digital Music Archive website.
Right.
So can you tell us more about Born Idol?
Well, Born they were called President Trash, yeah. Which was they were kind of together before I kind of joined. They were already working. Guy called Foz. I don't know who the drummer chap was, but it was Sam and Al. And I then joined, and it was President Trash. We did some gigs with Sham 69. We did some recordings, and then I kind of left for a while, as I do. And then I got back together with them again, and it was then Born Idol. It became Born Idol. So we did some gigs on that. But I'm still working with Al now because he's in the drones. So the guitar, yeah. So we can't escape each other. Yeah, he was in the nosebleeds, and he was in the nosebleeds as well. But he kind of stopped working with them. But I'm still in the drones with Al. We still work together, and I think he's working on a new project as well. He's up to something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's brilliant that they're all still working and that they're all still so like active in the music scene. Because
Well, I think most of the bands that I've been in and the people that I played with, I think we're probably looking at about 1,200 years if you put all our ages together. Because I know for a fact it's over 200 years, and it's just under 200, which the bands I'm with at the moment, each of us. So yeah, we're all getting on.
another, yeah,
We're all in
another.
our
Sorry.
60s, late 50s.
An interesting one is Jilted John, because that's Graham Fellows, right? Um, that's
That's Graham
his.
Fellows, yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you were also in Jilted John.
I didn't do the original stuff. That was my good friend John Scott, um, and Graham Fellows. And the original drummer, one of my favourite drummers, he's got to be the Manchester drummer for me, is a guy called Tony Roberts, fantastic drummer. Um, but I did I was doing a play with Stella Grundy, which is a Nico icon. And just after that, I think Graham, I was working with John Scott, and John was doing some gigs with Graham. So it's a bit of a reunion tour um, for Jilted John. So I did the drums at the Big Chill. I played at the Big Chill, and we did the Lloyds in Charlton as a kind of wake up call for it. So yeah, we did some dates with that. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, Graham Fellow is actually big in Philippines as well. He's
Yeah,
so like solo album.
John Shuttleworth.
Well, I'm not sure about John Shuttleworth, and not even Jilty John, but a solo one. So
Well,
what's it going to
I have
be
actually told, yeah, Graham Fellows, which is,
Yeah,
yeah, he's still working with the Jilted John. They do Rebellion Festival quite a lot. So.
yeah. And so now, you're currently in two bands, which is Ed Banger and the Nosebleeds, and the Drones.
Yeah, we've got some dates coming up. I'm not kind of saying that we're not doing anything at the moment, but Mick, I am working with Mick and Howard. We've got some things, we've got some issues going down. I can't really go into detail for next year. So yeah, something will be happening with the Slaughter connection, definitely. But I am also working with Edwina, because Edwina's Ed Banger and Nosebleeds, so I'm still with that. Also, the new project which she's got going. I'm doing that. And the Drones, a bit of a rest because we've kind of been at it for a good while now. But we have got some dates for next 2024 coming up. So yes, it's still going around, and what goes around
Yeah.
comes around. It's still happening.
So you're gonna be definitely gonna be busy next year again. I mean, I don't think
Um,
you stop drumming or
well, even if I'm not kind of playing live gigs, I'm kind of still doing this project with Tony G,
yeah,
which I'm still working on that, which is pretty much a bit avant-garde improvisation kind of thing. So it's not just all about just band for me. I mean, I'm sat at the piano now, kind of talking to you. So yeah. But, and it's not always about kind of going out and trying to, be successful and make loads of money. It's about living it. Martin Hannett always said to me, "Just carry on, just keep doing what you're doing. Just live it as you do it. If you're a player, that's what you do."
yeah. And
I'm
if
not
you love
chasing
what you
anything.
if you love what you're doing, it's like I think that's the best thing, really.
Well, it's enjoyable. You meet people, you have a chat with people. It's like when I met you, when we sadly not with us, as we say, CP Lee, when we had a great
Yeah,
night, didn't we? When we were down at the spinning
the
top.
spinning top. Yeah,
There wasn't lots of people there. There wasn't thousands of pounds spent. It was just a fantastic night. We have drinks, we have chats, we interact,
yeah.
and we listen to music. I mean, that's what the arts are about, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I mean, Dr. C.P. Lee, I mean, you and him so like, you go a long way. I mean, you've known him for a long time. So, can you tell us more about your friendship with Dr. C.P. Lee?
Well, I've known CP obviously on and off since the Albertos, because um, we kind of all used to collaborate and meet up over on Palatine Road, which it actually became the offices for Factory Records. But
Mm-hmm.
but before that, um, before Factory, Tony would visit there, Tony Wilson, and members. I think another Tony from Alberto's had a place in there, and our good friend Les Thompson, who designed the splash for the Do It Dog style, he had the ground floor flat there. So we all used to meet up. That was our base. Palatine Road was our base before it became Factory Records. So Slaughter and the Dog's base, and the Albertos, I think Fast Breeder, they would all kind of come over there and stuff. We'd all kind of just meet up because the
Yeah,
pub was right nearby, the Red Lion in Didsbury. So that was kind of, we'd all collaborate over that way. And they were good days. The Mike King, I can, just name so many people back in the day. So that was where I first met CP. And I've done a few interviews as well in the past where he's kind of been there, and we've done them. I think I've got some on videos back in there. So it was lovely to see him that evening. when we came down to Stockport with the
Yeah,
drums.
yeah. That must have
And
been
Pam,
really
God
exciting.
bless her.
Oh yeah, yeah. That must have been a really exciting times in Manchester for like all these bands getting together and just
For
having a
me,
time. Yeah.
well, for me, it was. I just used to really kind of get excited when I sneak in the free trade hall to watch Thin Lizzy.
Oh,
So, to see Phil Leonard walk out on stage and just get that vibe, that was really running for me. That was what got me going. And then, obviously, when we did Bellevue, when I was started playing, then I was really, involved with the lads, with Mick and Howard. When we did Bellevue with X-Ray Specs,
wow.
and then we'd go on tour. We'd have fun in the van, fun in hotels. It was just fantastic. Really
Yeah.
good days. It still happens a little bit like that now, but not. It's just not. It's not as the same. Yeah, obviously you're older, but you can still kind of. You can walk down the corridor and just think, well, it's great. You're down for breakfast, and then you're doing a gig, and then you're doing a gig, and it's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I like the interaction of playing with people because you can you either get a dirty look off one of the members on stage, or you get a real good look, and then it can be a dirty look, then another good look, and it's kind of just interacting with what's going down on the pulse of the music. What's happening. Again, it's the art. It's theatre as well. It's theatre as
yeah.
well,
But just
as
you're
well as rock
also
and roll, and as well as punk.
yeah, because you're also involved in sort of like acting in theatre. You
Oh,
do that
only
too.
little, only little. I mean, only. I mean, I did. Like I say, Stella gave me a couple of lines when we did the Lowry. I think it was "I'm home, honey." So I kind of run on and kind of do this bit, but I was playing drums on it with the band, the
Right.
Velvet Underground. That was who he
Yeah.
was. So did a little bit of that, and I've also done a little bit for a couple of friends who were at film school at the time. So I was doing a bit of expressing, messing about, kind of acting, shall we say, but nothing over the top. Nothing serious.
Yeah. Yeah. But
You've got a
and you're
bio
all
there, haven't you? You got. Yeah, I think you have the bio.
so like I have to Google so like find out things about you, and also you're still sort of like carrying on with your art as well. So you're still
Oh yeah,
painting.
yeah. I mean, I've always done abstract art. I've never told anybody. I've never shown it. I mean, I don't. But
Yeah.
the house is full of
Are
abstract
those
art, which
all your?
I've
Are those
always
all
done.
your
I just don't
original?
say to people, I'm not an artist. I just do abstract art. I mean, or if I'm at the kitchen table, I'll kind of just sketch away and do what I do, draw away. But I don't kind of say I'm an artist. I don't even say I'm a drummer. I just, you know, um, something you do, really. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I am
but
doing
the
art.
one.
I am still, whatever. I'm just, yeah, got a lot
Yeah,
of oil paints coming from presents and canvases and stuff.
yeah, yeah. The
And
ones that
wool.
are hanging there on your wall, are those your original artwork or somebody else's? The ones on the
On
wall that they're behind you?
anything in here is mine. Apart from that, that's a Banksy. Well, it isn't a Banksy, but it's Banksy.
Oh,
shall we say? But anything else on the wall is my artwork, is my work.
yeah,
Apart from in the other rooms, because I've got a small collection of a chap called Arthur Burns, who was from Manchester. He's a great artist. So I've got quite a lot of his stuff because I collect a bit as well, mate. I like to collect, and I have a good collection of Daniels. So he was an oil, watercolor artist, 1873-ish around, and he did landscapes. So I've got a collection, small collection of his.
yeah.
Um,
Well, it
so yeah,
reminds.
I like painting and I like art. So
Yeah.
I like
Well,
abstract art
I
as well.
got so like it reminds me of the drummer of Teenage Fan Club, Francis McDonald. He's done well in September. He's done sort of like an exhibition of his sort of like art because he sort of like draws people's faces, his sketches and things like that. Well, do
Oh,
you ever sort of
fantastic.
like yeah? Would you maybe next year or maybe in the near future, maybe you'd like to do an exhibition of your artwork as well. That would be something, so like show it, to show
Um,
your art.
it's a lot of planning, and it's kind of, it's having the time to do it, really. But I might do something, maybe. I have kind of been involved in some kind of, I don't want to go down the financial side of it, but I might be interested maybe in the future, depending.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just
maybe. I'm
so
not
like
getting any
nice.
younger anyway.
No, it's nice to
Time,
sort of like
time is
have
relative, as I have said before. So, but yeah, maybe.
yeah. Well, Lane Grantham, hello Lane. He said that you're included in a drummer's art exhibition, which is that crash ride snare. So yeah, definitely. Um, Again, going back to drumming, um, I've read that you're a resident drummer at Fred's in Manchester. I've never
No, no,
been
no. I
there.
think that's a little bit of what it was. I did every fortnight. I used to jump up and with Franny Eubanks and the lads. I'd kind of was the house drummer. I'd kind of go down with the kit, set the kit up. We'd do the first two or three numbers, and then we'd invite people up to play, and then I'd end the night. And do two or three numbers. So we did that for quite a long time. But I've not been over there for a good while now. I don't even know whether they still have the jam night. So it was a jam night. So we did that. I did that for quite a while. Every
Yeah.
fortnight I'd go over. We kind of kick off the jam night for the musos. Then they get up. They do different musicians. And then me, Franny, and different musicians would then end the evening. So that was great stuff, and that was blues. It was kind of,
Oh, I
bad,
see.
bad, bad, good
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Oh,
I've
Tip
not been
Street.
to Martin Fred's. I don't know. It was like, is it a live music venue? Is it a club
It's a
or
live
something?
music venue. It's a jazz. It's mainly jazz, but they have jazz blues blues as well. But they have a lot of jazz artists on there. I've not actually seen any main names kind of play their venue, but let's say Manchester's answer to Ronnie Scott's.
Oh, right.
Perhaps, yeah, maybe. Yeah, he's got that. You must go down and it's a good venue. It's a good venue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all, like, check it
it's
out
very
because I know
woody.
where
It's
it
all
is.
wooden chairs with small tables. It's very
Oh,
jazz orientated, back in the day.
yeah,
Unless it's changed, I don't know. Yeah.
yeah. I thought it's like a drum and bass kind of place. It's
Oh no,
all
no,
like
no, 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 no.
Tunks, tunks, tunks.
Yeah, it's very, it's very, some great musicians down there. A lot of the Royal College lot just kind of offload down there. I think when maybe they finishing their exams, or the kind of want to kind of release a bit of notation, they just go over there and jump up and jam. Because we used to get some great players getting up on the jam
Oh,
nights.
right. Yeah, I bet. So I need to check that out because
Yeah,
I know where it is.
yeah.
You were also I don't know if you still do it, but you're a drum teacher.
No, no. Well, I have. I mean, I don't do it anymore, but I have done it in the past. I have actually done some teaching, but pretty much mainly just on performance. I mean, nothing really getting into kind of doing grades, or maybe a couple of grades, just on paradiddles and things like that, and kind of good interaction.
Yeah.
And kind of performance. So I have done that in the past, yeah. When the children were a bit younger, but they've all gone now, all grown up and gone. But because I've always kind of been self-employed in that way, so I did that and did it as a business, kind of in the home.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I've got a basement, so I did it. I had the room in the house because of the house, because I had the basement to do it. So and occasionally it kind of paid the bills. So that's what you got to do.
Yeah, yeah. It always sort of like makes me laugh whenever I hear a paradiddle. Well, that's what drummers do. They do paradiddle.
It's New Year's Eve, Anna. You've got to be happy.
That's true. That's true. Also, another thing that I found out recently is, my boss at King B Record.
Sorry?
My boss at King B, Les
Oh,
Hair.
Les, yes, yeah, Les, yeah. I mean, I've not seen Les for a good while, but every time I did go in, King B he was never in anyway. but but like I said, the story goes. I think I mentioned to you just when we were kind of offline. So I will say this again. If I'm going to try and get this right, because I'm going back 30 odd years here. So King B Records, where it is situated at the moment. So if you go over the bridge, if you go back towards into Chorlton Town, there is now Sue Ryder,
Yeah.
which is Sue Ryder is a charity shop. And before it going a good while back, it used to be an open market. It was a small market in there. But it was very, very short-lived. And one day I was in there back in the 80s, and Les had a little stall. He had a little stall in there. And he said, "Oh, we've got to move. We're being moved out." I'm not kind of going word for word here. I'm kind of improvising on the memory side of it.
Yeah.
And as I recall, I remember saying to him, "Well, just over the bridge, there is a to let sign up, and there's an empty shop. And the rest is history."
Yeah, yeah.
And that's it. So I think I remember that connection with Les, and I used to take records in there to put dinner on the table. Times when we had the young children and we had a flat in Chorlton, so I used to, in fact, probably most of my back catalogue and vinyl records went into King B.
Wow.
I remember a compact disc once. I know that went there. Sluts and the Dogs, Dirty Dog style. but I still got a fair collection now. I've rebuilt it all back up, mostly.
Yeah. So
yeah, I've got all my
Jethro
Tull and Alex Harvey and Bowie's back. I've got everything.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've bought things back, and I've kind of, rebuilt myself, vinyl wise.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit plasticky, doesn't it? But actually, yeah. Could be Bakelite.
Yeah. Well, it's thanks to you that my boss found that shop where we are now.
I think he's been there now. He's been there a good long time.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether he would remember this story. I mean, if I don't know, but I do recall. That whether it was a little market. He had a little store, and I said just over the way there. Because I remember him saying, "We're moving out." In fact, Ethel Austin was taking over. They bought I think they bought, or they were going to rent it off the council. They bought it, whatever. And I remember saying, just over the way, there's a shop, which is to let. And like I say, the rest is history. Now, whether he remembers that, I don't know, but I do remember that, actually.
But you must know, I've read this on, I can't remember now which book it was that I read it, but you must know this story about when he was still in the market. And then I think there's a guy who used to man the shop called, I don't know if it's Rose or Rosie or something. And apparently the stall is near a butcher's. I don't know if you remember this place near a butcher's. And he used to play like Meat is Murder or something like that.
Oh yeah, there's a butcher just over the way, it's still there. Meat is Murder.
It kind of puts people off. So.
Yeah, that's a funny story. That's there is. Well, the meat market was practically facing there. And that was open at that time as well. Yes, it's still open now. In fact, yeah. Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's brilliant.
He's a lovely chap, and when you do, give him my regards. Just say Brian said hello, and hope things are okay.
I will do. So, well, it's nearly the end of the show, but I wanted to just ask you this. regular questions that I ask the guests. First of all, do you twirl when you play? Do you do the stick?
Never. No, no. Do you mean swirl my drumsticks?
Yeah.
Swirl?
Yeah.
No, 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 no. No, no, I don't. I've never kind of really done that. No,
No?
no.
Is
I
that
couldn't.
not like is it not a punk
No,
thing?
I've never. How can I say? I don't know. It's fantastic, if you see drummers, kind of doing that. They're kind
Yeah.
of. I'm not a circus drummer, but it's kind of that exhibition kind of showmanship, which is fantastic. But it's not for me. That I'd probably drop the drumstick or I'd flick it at somebody. But
Not even in Niadam's Ghost, which is like a prog. I think prog rock drummers, they do that, don't they?
I've never seen a prog drummer do
Oh
that.
no.
I kind of. I think I've not. I've not seen. I've seen some drummers doing it in kind of just in a break where they're waiting to come in. Yeah, they're waiting for the intro, or they're waiting for the, as we say, vocalist go on for like 20 minutes. And the drummer's pretty bored and they're kind of twirling the stick. But I've never really seen many drummers do that. I think I'm more interested in the kind of what's being held down rather than that kind of thing. I think because again, time is relative, and drummers are about holding it down, and that's it. Keep the time, keep the job going. What have you? Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
John Kidd, JK, he said, Do It Dog Style is one of my all-time favorite albums, and it has a fantastic cover drawn by Steve McGarry. Do you have
Yeah,
any
Steve McGarry.
recollection of working with him?
Steve McGarry did he did the front cover. Steve, yeah. So yeah, I mean that was kind of out of our. We were just kind of the players, and we did the kind of creative playing and what we did with the album. But on that side of it, in them days, Steve came up with that fantastic. I think Howard came up with the title as well. So on my behalf as a drummer, I wasn't really involved on that kind of creative side. I mean, I used to go down to meetings at Decca. Kind of for the sandwiches and the kind of the arguments, the disagreements. But yeah, Steve McGarry, fantastic cover, and it still holds it today. Holds it. It's brilliant. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
The title. Yeah. Steve McGarry.
Yeah, sorry.
He's another chap from Withenshaw. From Withenshaw.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
Steve McGarry. Yeah.
Yeah, well, John Kidd said that he never got to see Slaughter and the Dogs back in the day because he was too young. But he did get to see the 2016 reunion gig at the Ruby Lounge. That was a great night, he said.
That was the reunion.
Yeah.
That would have been the reunion. Yeah. There is. Yeah, there is a DVD out of that, which is fantastic. I recommend if you haven't ever seen Slaughter and the Dogs, then I would recommend anyone to get the DVD, which was put together. The whole affair and the whole gig was put together by Maurice Murray. Maurice is a very, very, very old friend of mine, and he put the whole gig together, got us all together, and he DVD out. There's a good DVD out of that, so I recommend anybody to get that. And it kind of goes back with the history of Withenshaw. It's not just the band; it's the history of the band actually. So it kind of goes back to Withenshaw and where we've all ended up and what we're doing and what have you. Yeah, me, Mick, and Howard. That's all I can say at the moment.
Okay.
There is someone else as well.
I was going to ask if these were the original members of Slaughter and the Dogs.
The original members, yes, me, Mick, and Howard at the moment, and of course Edwina. He was in the other, the second half of Slaughter and the Dogs. But watch and listen out. Watch the space because there's something going on there.
Yeah.
So.
And there's I just want to tell people that there's actually a Facebook page where they
Oh right,
can,
okay, yeah, yeah. Thanks,
yeah,
Anna. Yeah, same with you as well. Yeah,
yeah, that they can
yeah.
find out more about what's happening and any sort of like news about slaughtering the dogs. So I'll post it later when it's not like,
That's
posted on the
great.
Facebook page. Yeah.
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 Okay,
Well,
brilliant.
you mentioned Tony from Manchester, the drummer that you liked. I can't, I've forgotten the last name already. But any drumming heroes? Who are your drumming heroes?
Mine, well, like I've always said, I've always the last two or three interviews I've done, it's pretty much the same question: have you got any influences, and who do you like? And John Bonham always comes into it because he's just a great. Technically, he's a technician as well, and he can just hold it down. He just kind of ticks all the boxes, and then. But I like a lot of drummers. Bill Bruford, for me, is fantastic. And there's so many really good drummers. Um, but Terry Williams, Dire Straits, originally he was the drummer in Man. He's from the heart as a player. I would recommend any drummer, if you're playing rock and roll, listen to Terry Williams. We all know Bill Bruford, or at least some of them, and John Bonham. And of course, Phil Collins is a fantastic player. I listen to
Phil
Brand X
Collins.
all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
Phil Collins. I don't listen to his commercial stuff. I don't really do a lot of Genesis, but I like his Brand X. John Goodall, and Brand X is his kind of. Technically, some of the time signatures on that, if you listen to some of the Brand X stuff, it's just, you just couldn't do it. It's just impossible. Some of the stuff he does. Phil Collins is, but I'm not on a commercial Phil Collins side.
What about drummers like Rennie, Mike Joyce, Stephen Morris? So.
Oh, of course, you're fantastic. Yeah, great. There's also some great players in Manchester. Donald Johnson, Mikey Wilson for me is a great player. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Donald Johnson, Stephen Morris, of course, Stephen Morris. Yeah, he's he the New Order one? He's the New Order guy.
Well, when all these drummers sort like get together, you do a lot of drum talk, like Manchester drummers. I mean, I remember sort of like Lol Tolhurst from The Cure. He actually said, because I went through his book again, and he said that all drummers are friends. Is that true?
I don't really know. I mean, when I hear somebody say, there's so many good drummers out there. It's kind of like we're all a kind of puddle in a massive pool, in a massive lake. There's so many really, really good drummers. And the thing is with drumming, everyone has got their own style and everyone's got their own, attack and feel. And again, there's middle of the road, different genres of music. So it's what you apply to that. And I've always liked drummers who do apply originality to a song. It depends what you bring to the phrasing and the chord structure and what you're doing within. It's putting your stamp on it. As my good friend Howard Bates used to say to me, well, you put your stamp on it, so that's what makes a good drummer for me, is someone who puts their pieces,
Well,
I think we all are friends. I mean, I've got a lot of drumming friends, lots of good drummers.
Will you agree with I thought it was God, what's his name? The guy from Beautiful Mary Jane, but actually it was the Clash, Joe Strummer, who said that a band is only as good as its drummer. Would you say yes? Is that what you?
That's fun. It's a fantastic quote of his, isn't it? I mean, and it's true. I've got to say, the band is only as good as its drummer. If you've got a drummer who's either lacking or he's kind of falling all over, it's not. Yeah, I've got to say bass players as well. I mean, drum and bass hold that down. They do hold it down. And then you got the kind of colour going over the top with the guitar,
Yeah,
structuring, and then the vocalist doing the phrases. But Topper Headon, he's a fantastic drummer.
yeah,
Topper
yeah,
Headon,
yeah,
yeah, fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Next question is disasters. Have you ever had, because you've been drumming for so many years, have you ever had any, so like what I call accidents or drumming disasters?
Sorry,
Like
I missed that
maybe
one.
have you ever sort of like fallen off a chair, or have you ever had any drumming accidents or
I've had
drumming?
my moments where I've kind of been there. I think I was doing a gig in Carlisle probably about 5, 6 years ago now with the Nosebleeds, who at the time was Al Crosby, Edwina, and Stephen Wilson, and we were doing a gig over in Carlisle. And I kind of we were hanging around for so long that we went on really late, and I'd had one too many drinks, and I was really struggling. And on the second kind of number, I thought, "Am I going to do another 17 songs?" But I couldn't get through the second one. But I managed to wing it. I did manage to get through, but I kind of let the side down in a lot of ways. But no one ever told me. No one ever said anything to me. But that's the only time when I've had too much to drink and I shouldn't have done that. But I've never kind of fell off the stool or anything like that. Oh, wait a minute, kind of thing. Yeah, I do recall the Heartbreakers in Leeds in the 70s, late 70s. Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers, Slaughter and the Dogs. In Leeds University, I did fall back off at the university, back from the curtain. Luckily, we wasn't in a song. We were just about to kind of get moving. I just put the stool back on and jumped on, which was quite funny quite funny. I think Billy Rath was laughing at me, the bass player from the Heartbreakers.
Oh,
Yeah. So.
yeah. Well, my final question to you is: any advice to aspiring drummers or musicians out there?
Do I?
Well, would you like to sort of like tell them what's the, or maybe the best advice that you've been given, or the best advice that you'd like to sort of like tell?
Um, the best advice that had been given to myself from drummers.
Yeah, yeah. Any advice that you can tell? So, like, yeah.
Um, well, I always remember a drummer called Chris North, who was he used to do some drums for Kim Wilde, but he was a drummer at the time with the Enid, and we were supporting the Enid. I think it was Blackburn Town Hall, and in the kind of in the sound check stage, I was just kind of waiting around, and he just said to me, "Just set your drum kit up, even just off the stage," because he was using his drum kit and I was kind of using mine, and he just said, "Just set your kit up either off the stage or on the stage or wherever you want, and just do what you do," And I just thought for him to say that to me was just really good of a drummer of that caliber. He's a great drummer. So yeah, for me, it wasn't kind of advice. It was just kind of warming to that time when you kind of back in the day, back in the 80s. Yeah, great drummer. So he's another drummer to look at. A guy called Chris North. He's a good
Chris
player.
North. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. What's the
There's
one
so
that you
many
said?
about, Anna. There's so many about.
I know.
Well, it's been
I was just
fantastic. I've really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, me too. It was like John Kidd said that thanks, Brian, for a very interesting and informative podcast. Happy New Year to
I
you.
hope it's been okay. And I'd just like to say, Don Powell's a great hero of mine. And I watched the podcast with you last week, and I just thought, crikey, yeah, I'm honoured to kind of speak to you. You're just having a guy like Don Powell. So.
No, I'm really grateful that you said yes to us, Trevor. So thank you so much, Brian.
Fantastic. And I'm going to say a happy new year to you and your family and
Yeah,
everybody. And
and
I hope to see you in the near future.
Yeah, I hope so too. And it's so nice to find out that Mad Muffet is actually from Animal. I still
All
can't
right.
believe it. It's so like animals. But
Right.
yeah,
I'm,
happy New Year
I'm sorry
to
about the
you.
technicalities. I mean, I'm not very kind of technology literate in that kind of way. But I had to get my wife in. She was kind of doing some of the kind of bits for me. So, you know,
Well, thank you
it's,
to you and Lane. Thank you so much. And Happy New Year to you and your family.
Happy New
And
Year to you. I hope to see you soon. All the best,
yeah,
and
hopefully
everybody
so.
else as well.
Thank you
Happy
so
New
much,
Year.
Brian. Thank you.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye
See you soon.
now.
Bye. Bye. Thank you all so much for joining us live. That was just amazing. I still can't believe I should have known when it's like Mad Muffet, like animal. I think it was all like if he was real, or maybe he is real, but I really love the way animals like those two drumming. But thank you all so much. Thank you, JK. I'm really glad that you're here. And Alan Crosby, Lane Grantham, Andy Coy, thank you all so much for joining us live. And like I've said, this is the final episode for 2023, and I think it's amazing to sort of like finish off the year with Brian Grantham. Next year, next year, sorry. I said next year because it's 2024 tomorrow. But yeah, next week we're going to be back, hopefully, with another amazing drummer. So please do keep an eye out for the guest announcement post. And I just want to wish you all a very, very happy new year and hope you. I always say I hope for world peace, but yeah, hopefully we'll see it in you know, the new year. So as always, love music, love life, love drummers. We've still got loads of awesome drummers, so like guest on the show. So I hope you also like stay with us. And thank you all so much for your love and support. And hope to see you all next week. Happy New Year, everyone. Bye for now. Bye.